Oh, so hello everyone. Hello. 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 Sorry. I gotta sing the nerves out. I gotta sing the nerves out. I don't know why. Why sell wrestle? Oh, so we'll see how I do this. At first, I was gonna do this without a chat, but I already had it scheduled, so I can't take the chat off. And then I was just not gonna pay attention to the chat. Um, but we'll see. I think I will do that. So if you don't hear from me, that's why. I can't use these cards because I'm using these for the runes. Interesting, interesting, interesting. I guess. Well, I could use the SKT, but I guess I'm going to use the Diceology, and I'm just gonna go off of that, and we're gonna see what your I already forget what it is. Inner Hermit Light is. So it is my intention to be an outside perspective to your inside. And so take what is for you and move further as you can with that, right? Because ultimately, you will know you. And as someone who is not you, it's not entirely within my realm or desire of ability to tell you who you are. So, oh, I was gonna use. Excuse me? Oh, okay. I have a spread that I was gonna use. I'll reference it if I need to. I'm just kind of sort of gonna flow with it because this isn't something that I would usually. I mean, it's fine. Let me just. I'm gonna breathe and I'm gonna get my little bowl. I wish I had a little candle, but I don't know where my candle went. And there is going to be a little bit of a delay, but I guess I'm not entirely paying attention to the chat anyway. So. I don't even know which to timestamp. I guess I'll timestamp it where I see it. Since I'm using a third party software, the timestamps may be off minorly. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start by showing you the lantern. And I'll actually show you the lantern after. So I hope you chose before. If you need a refresher, these are your different options. And see, I gotta go to my OBS. So yeah, I'm not gonna pay attention to the chat. These are your different options as the light cycles. This should one second. I thought I had this set up where it would correctly show. I guess not. I thought it did. Well, if the lettering is backwards, then I guess then I guess it's backwards. Okay. I'm gonna start you at a clean 7 minutes in. If you chose number 1, it'll give me a brief moment in time to collect myself. But again, the timestamps may be a little off. I can always go back and fix them afterward. So here's 1 and 2. Here's 2 and 3. Here's 3 and 4. I can't show you 1 and 4, so. And it's interesting. I noticed something as I was going to the original pictures so I can blow it up. So these are all actually different sizes, and they come in different shapes. Not that one being bigger than the other makes it any more or less important. But also they have prices associated with them. And an external price, again, is no real measurer of internal worth or value. Some of the best things in life are the least expensive, maybe the least fine. So, number 1, my hands smell like copper from the bowl. You know what else smells like copper? Pennies. Sorry. Penny for your thoughts. Okay. This is the deck I use for these matters, so I'm going to start with one of these face down, and then I'll move over to these, and we'll see. So this is like, how long I've been streaming? I guess I can look, and whenever I see the cards, oh, it's like 9 minutes. We'll say pile 1 is 9 minutes because that's easy. The part of the shuffle is part of you. Very cup heavy. 18 cups. The corruptor, the joyous one, and holy water. Bottom of the deck is the stronghold of the flame. Page of Wands. Those don't mean much. They just came out. I think I actually am going to pull this first, and then we'll see where I flow to. I'll do a top and bottom of the deck. I'm discovering as I go. Maybe that's also been a nature of or maybe that is a nature of your truth. Maybe you are the type that discovers who you are by learning who you're not. And so it's twofold to not play a role that is not yours to play longer than you know you need for whatever sense of obligation. And second, it's to not be ashamed of exploring, I guess. I'll give it 2 more. Actually, I'm not. 7 of diamonds. Actually, I'm going to keep it. It's yours. Also, I'm in the red on OBS. If it's a little loud, turn your volume down. A well-crafted illusion, a contaminant blowing in the breeze, searching for an open eye. I'll still take this. It feels like your truths are many. I wouldn't be surprised if you've had many lifetimes, many different experiences. And it's like they all bring something different. You have 2 pages at the cut. And it's almost like it's to give you a certain foundational understanding. And whatever, it's like it's to give you multiple understandings. And what this reminds me of, it's like finding a way to use them all in this lifetime. All of the many different things that you are. A contaminant blowing in the breeze, searching for an open eye. It's an energy where it's like things appear to us the way we desire them to, or the way we would expect for them to. And so we choose the cup that most accurately fits what it is that we already sort of believe to be true, or that which we desire to be true. It's because your eye wants to see this that it does, or that you fall for it. This is the Ace of Cups. And usually I present the question here, but it feels like the dove is descending onto the cup. And it's an animal that isn't represented by any of these, though the peacock is the closest. So there may be something entirely new yet still for you this time as well. I'm actually going to keep those 2. These are, there we go. I'll turn the deck up right. Honestly, this feels like an intermediary step for you. Like yours is a truth that is still being built, it's still being expanded upon. That maybe you don't know yourself as well as you would think, or as well as you would like to, but it's almost because it's like if you could look at your life or lives in the grand scheme of things, where you end up, where you really rise, where your time or your moment of prominence is, you've not yet hit it. And there are still things you've to learn and still things you have to gain. But just because that's so doesn't mean that you can't enjoy now or where you are. Your truth overall is changing, and your truth may be something that continues to change throughout your life. There's something about your truth that isn't static, something about your truth that isn't easy to define, something about your light that actually accommodates for those around it. It's like if you're a part of the chorus, it isn't necessarily about being the loudest. Not that you're necessarily meant to fade into the background either, but there's something about cooperation. There's something about becoming that which is needed. Something very multifaceted for good reason. And this well crafted illusion, it almost feels like that could be your perspective on different moments in your life or different phases of your life. But in reality, in truth, it was for you to experience what was for you to experience at the time that you were experiencing it. And just because it wasn't something that lasted the entirety of your lifetime, just because you came upon other truths, doesn't make your time where you were less valuable or less necessary. Exactly where you were supposed to be for good reason. Exactly where you are supposed to be for good reason. It feels like you'll change again. But with this Ace of Cups, you have an opportunity to almost glean the bigger picture, to almost know. It's almost like when you get enough pieces of the puzzle together, you can make out what the image is supposed to be when it's completed, even if there are pieces and places that you don't even know. Now, on those pieces, on those individual pieces, you can get a feature that you wouldn't necessarily expect, right? Let's say that you're doing a night sky or just the sky in general. And so you know what colors to expect based off of the other pieces, if it's daytime, if it's nighttime, if it's a transitional time like sunrise or sunset. But you might get a bird on a piece, or a hot air balloon, or a star if it's nighttime, or the moon, or the sun, or a planet, depending on the perspective, right? So the pieces themselves hold mystery. The pieces themselves are yet to be unfolded, and still, like, they hold things within themselves to discover. But overall, you get a pretty good idea of what you're doing or where you're going in general. Now, this is. Let me pull up my cheat sheet really quick so I know what these numbers mean. I believe this one's a planet. It might actually be a sign. It is a sign. It's Sagittarius. So you've got Sagittarius, the devil, Capricorn, the third eye, the root, and the element of air. Did I say Capricorn? You do have Capricorn. Sagittarius, the devil, Capricorn, the root, the third eye, and the element of air. Sagittarius, the devil, and Capricorn. It feels like an energy. It's almost like, again, with this bigger picture. Maybe it's like once you get this bigger picture with this, you see where all these other cups fit. You see where their places are. And maybe right now you don't necessarily have this, so it does feel a little bit disparate. It feels like a confused mess. And it feels like it would be really easy to get down on oneself here. But so too, it's like if you sort of fixate or focus on certain points and parts and you minimize others, this cup isn't necessarily this one, isn't necessarily any of the other 9 up here. And it feels like devil energy could be sort of fixing oneself in some way that it's almost like what you use to define you becomes your baseline. That becomes this cup down here, right? And not all of these cups can support the weight like this one can. And so it's almost like you create your own foundation. And I think the Eight of Wands too, I think the Eight of Orbs too, it speaks of that which you're currently mastering, that you come into a space that leads to a space of a more complete mastery. But it's an energy where it's like finish working on the one you're working on right now, which is the 7th orb, 7 cups. The one in the living wood is this Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups, the living wood, actually serves as your basis and foundation after you complete the one that you're on now. And I feel like it's not a tower, it's a transformation. I feel like it doesn't have to be something that you have a whole identity crisis over. But again, I feel like that comes in the understanding. With the 3 of Wands, the 3 of Staves in this card, it specifically seeks of prophecy and seeking prophecy. And so maybe you think you have an idea of where things are going, or you do have an idea of where things are going. But prophecy is something very here, where you're here and here. At most, you have 8 cups, 8 pentacles. This is 10. In this deck particularly, the 5 of Wands is a fight for a throne. At the 6 of Wands, it's revealed that the prince, the crown prince that was foretold to take the throne, is actually a princess. And it's those minor details that in the grand scheme of things may not necessarily matter, but in the moment it can be difficult to accept because it's not what was expected. And it feels like you have the ability to see or experience what it is that you expect. And it feels like there's a part of you it feels like there's a part of you that's like willing to let go of things, maybe because you've already been so many. But it's almost like it happens in a way where you're not changed by it or transformed by it or made better because of it. Almost like there are things, there are gifts, there are abilities in these experiences that you completely leave behind or walk away from that are supposed to go with you, right? Because there are 5 things that have already been mastered here. Working on the 7th. The 6th is the crown. Or this could be the 6th, and the 7th is the next one in hand, and then the living wand becomes the crown. But this is also in the space of a limitation or a blockage. So maybe too, you kind of sort of go again for what you've already mastered. You go for what's easy. You make that your foundation. And because that's what you desire, it becomes your foundation. And again, it becomes easy to have these experiences or to seek out these things, which it is that you already wish to experience. But it's for you to come to a place of more. And there is a balance here to be met. We have the sun in Virgo and the moon in Taurus at the heart of this. That's a favorable aspect between the sun and the moon, but I don't know if it's necessarily harmonious. It's favorable in its ease of sort of connection. And it's almost like 2 people who try to talk over each other and neither really listens. Which is why the stronghold of the Zephyrs, Page of Swords energy is sort of mediating between them. I'm missing a card here. Oof, well, there's the devil, so. And this is the South Node. The Phoenix and the Dragon are chained. Chained to this devil energy. And maybe each other, I'm not sure. And this is Capricorn. So this completes our Earth trine. Right? Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. South Node in Capricorn. South Node in Capricorn, especially within the context of this, it's almost like an uncomfortability that you've gotten used to. Or it's a certain fluidity that you've gotten used to. It's a certain impermanence that you've gotten used to. And you know what you're good at. You know where you can thrive. You know where you're safe. It reminds me of my grandma when she said she had an opportunity to go to California. But at the time, she had 2 young children, and she knew that if she was here, she would be able to take care of them. Anywhere else, she wasn't as comfortable. Anywhere else, she didn't know. And so here is where she came, and here is where she plans to stay. And it's not like how the choice or decision plays out doesn't matter. What's also interesting is, though, the acts of Shiva removes corruption. Here's the corruptor. And then you see the tail of this devil energy is the same that holds this tower together. And so maybe, and again, it's this energy here where it's like, is that sigil? Is that the sun? What? Sorry, maybe not. Sigil, soul. So here it's this energy where it's like, again, you're open to certain transformation. You allow certain things to fall apart. But the base of this, the foundation is held firm. It doesn't change. Which may be the issue here, because it may be time to move one of these cups up and to allow another to sort of come in. Now the card that was face down is a purifying light, a renewed mind, and a moment of timelessness. It's the Seven of Clubs, another seven. So you move from the element of air to the element of fire. You move from the root in the third eye to the solar plexus in the double crown, from Capricorn to Virgo, from the devil to the high priestess, and from Sagittarius to the Four of Fire, the Four of Souls. From Sagittarius to the Four of Souls. The Four of Souls, it's a space where we think we all have it. It's a space where we think we have it together. It's at the five that we recognize and realize that we don't. Where we try to rebalance at the six, come into a greater understanding at the seven that is in some ways where the apprenticeship begins at the 8, mastery is attained at the 9, and then the 10 is everything beyond that. So I feel like your inner hermit truth is one where it's like you're still growing as a soul, as a person, as an individual. There's more of life for you to experience in so many areas and sectors. And you've already had so many to experience. I feel like it's possible for you to have an idea of where it is that you're going or what it is that you must do. And if you can utilize all that you've been through for that reason and for that purpose, I think it'll serve you more than trying to separate yourself from them and say, like, it was a past version of me that no longer exists. It's a past life that holds no weight and no value in my reality now. But especially with this energy, while it is in the space of being your conscious blockage or limitation, that this is the subconscious matter that needs to be addressed, this balance between those different pieces with the giver. Maybe it's just the time and the effort that you think it'll take. Again, it's that energy where it's like, I know where my odds are the best, where they're the greatest. And it may be in something that you've already done. It may be in something that you already know. But doing that and going there, it doesn't allow you any expansion. It doesn't afford you any growth, and you're not done. No matter how much you've mastered, no matter how much you've completed, you've still more to do. And it may be completely unrelated or only tangentially related. There is greater yet still that awaits you, especially with this Three of Wands prophecy card here. But it's who you're in the space of becoming. It won't happen to you by itself. And you may have the time to reincarnate a few more times, or you may have the time to experience more of the same in this life. And I feel like this moment of timelessness, again, it's like if you have a puzzle with most of the pieces or a fair majority of the pieces in, or completed or together, you can imagine what the completed puzzle will look like. And it's almost like, again, it's in your ability to create foundations that maybe that's it's a gift of yours. It's an ability to create foundations, and maybe it's an ability to be focused or determined or to see something through to the end. But you want to be mindful of what it is that you dedicate yourself to. Because your truth it's one that plays on the nature of what is around it. It's still a little subjective and relative. Again, for the ways that you have to grow. And the things you've yet to do. And anything beyond that, anything beyond this is for you. I feel like exploration is also a pretty big part of what it is that you have to do. And even in this card, it's like she's pulling in 3 different runes to work on this single project. They all come together. There's an energy of coalescence as well. It feels like a change of perspective would do you a lot of good. Feel like I may have bitten off a little more than I can chew. I blame Russell, and you should too. Sorry. But yeah, I would say like the greatest things that you have are still ahead of you. But it feels like, depending on what your condition is, you may think that it's behind you. And I would say maybe not. But also, if you believe that and if you live by that, they will be. Three of Wands, Three of Pentacles. 7 of Diamonds, 7 of Clubs. What's up between the elements of earth and fire for you? Earth is realization. So maybe you're also discovering It sounds like who it is that you're allowed to be. It feels like who it is that you're allowed to be, but it's not allowance by any external sense, really. It feels like it's more of an allowance as like, who do you allow yourself to be? How much of yourself do you allow to sort of come to the table? And you've got a lot more to give than what you've been giving. And as you go about that giving, you'll discover how much more there is to you. And I'd say you probably blow your own mind. Probably. Maybe. Timestamps. I'm not even proper done. But thank you for the reminder. Ace of Diamonds, Jack of Hearts. Chain links, a divine codex, an arrow that pierces the heavens and breaks the clouds, an inn that welcomes weary travelers, a hot tub that soaks all one's worries away, a sly grin. Like I said, there's much for you to discover within yourself, but your comfort zone and easy ways out would have your truth be stopped before it's even spoken fully. Okay, now I'm done. Which means I have to open this up to see where I am, So, it looks like this is going to be about 42:30 for the second. Oh, wait. No, not yet. I forgot. I have to show you your lantern. Right? So, no cheating. Let me see if I have a better picture. I don't really. So, for comparison, I'll just try to show you like your shelf. So, this one right here is yours. This is everything else. It's not about comparison. But there you are. You are 786. I don't know if that'll mean anything to you. 7 and 6 is 13 plus 8 is 21. 8 and 6 is 14 plus 7 is 21. And 21 here, it's like you can do everything except what? Rent a car. You can vote at 18 and you get, anything 18 plus. The drinking age is 21. And I guess that's the age where they say that you are mentally developed enough that alcohol will not impede that development or whatever. So that's just a little extra if you are curious. Sort of behind the scenes, quote unquote, whatever. So lantern number 2. Thank you, Russ. So I guess it's 44, 20 something, 44:30. I can go back and tighten up the timestamps after. It's roughly 44:30. So let me look at your lantern. Maybe it would also help if I look at the lanterns. So for the second lantern, actually, so for the second lantern, yours is actually one of the first that I noticed. I was like, oh. And then I looked and I noticed that I guess I was in the lantern aisle. If you would have told me there's a lantern aisle at Walmart, I probably would have been like, oh, like in the outdoors department or something. But still, it's nothing I would have really thought of. And it was next to the essential oils. Some of the essential oils. Ooh, the Lovers and the Queen of Swords. So for Lantern 2, one of the seemingly unique features of yours lantern too, it feels like if need be, the top of your lantern could be removed. Your top could come off. It is your truth to experience intimacy in many, 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 many ways with many, 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 many individuals. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But there are many types of intimacy, not all of them sexual. Work, I'll take it. So you've the 10 of spades. And I'm just going to complete. I'll give it 2 more. Ten of spades, 10 of wands. The memory keeper with the ebony shield. Bottom of the deck is the blind seer. So I guess I'll start with what's revealed and then I'll work to what isn't. So in the spread, the sharpshooter is in the space of your inner light. The burdened one is in the space of your inner dark. The relationship between them is fueling the growing fire of truth, creating space for a miracle, and delving inside to go beyond. Honestly, for you, because right here it's the memory keeper with the ebony shield, it feels like your past has something to offer you. Yours may be a truth that's forgotten. In a way. Maybe because it's so old. This is very much with great power comes great responsibility. And it's like the power to affect things greatly, or the power to affect one, or to affect another greatly, must be balanced and measured with equal or greater amounts of, I don't know what the word is, but it's like not responsibility. It's a knowledge and awareness of when to use it. Right? It's not necessarily one that is to be used frivolously. You have the first and the last decan of Sagittarius. So it's not too far off. It's not too far from each other. But it leans more with this 10 of wands. It leans, or 10 of spades, which is the 10 of air. Sorry. But either way, it was feeling like wands. It was feeling like more fire. So I'll take it. Air fuels fire. It tends to this. But being a truth teller can be a heavy burden. Even when you think it within the best interest of someone else. This reminds me, it can be Sagittarius, but it's also kind of Capricorn. It's someone who's like extremely blunt, but who cares about people. But it's almost like their edge, or the sharpness of their word. It can easily take away the love that they're filled with. It can appear that way to other people. because there's almost like a lack of delicateness. And so then I believe this is a say. No, I gotta look it up. Hold up. And to look that up, I actually need my computer. So give me one moment, please. Uno momento, por favor, as I look this up. Chotomate kudasai. Kono wado doku ga shirabete imasu? Or shirabe nakereba narimasen? I need to search for this document. I don't know. I want to use my Japanese more. Nihongo ga hanashitai desu. Boku. So this is the purple and the silver. Excuse me. This is silver 10. Or is this purple 10? Oh, it's purple 9. Sorry. Yeah, this is purple 9. So it's 75, 17, 2, 2, 4, and 3. So 75 is the scholar of souls. You've the scholar of souls with the element of air, the heart chakra, the sacral, Taurus, and the star. Yeah, and I did say something about having the power to affect others greatly. So the scholar of souls is the one. The scholars for me are those who are still learning, but they're also practicing. It's like they're in an internship where they're applying what information they've already learned, and they're learning more. Some of the things that can only be learned in the field, like on site. And this, honestly, Lantern 2, there's a lot of, it feels like purpose with you. But again, it also feels like it's not to be taken lightly. Your truth is great, and your truth feels old. Older than you may even have right to know. Because there is choice, and because we do affect others. Every time, not every time, but it's moments like these when I realize I didn't even pick. So whenever I do a pick of whatever, I like never pick for myself because I just don't remember to. I'm like, man, I didn't even pick one. So let's move here, I guess. You have the Ace of Spades, tapping into the seed of all creation, understanding what predates all and things that must remain in the dark. I told you were old. I told you this was an old truth, like an old truth. And it's almost like this truth might be so old that it's not even relatively true anymore. Because so much has changed and happened since it was first spoken. And so there is a little bit of a like, don't be so quick to think you know more. Because while you may be old or experienced, certain things that were relevant and true back in your day may not necessarily be anymore. Because things have changed. But there is still value in that. It's just don't think you're better than anybody else because you may be a little bit older. Like, I'm an old soul, so I've been through this, and all you young souls need a blah 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 whatever. I don't know. Just keep that in mind, okay? On this side, we have the Queen of Hearts. It was in reverse. I don't really read this. Well, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. A candle burning on both ends. Inversion. Inversion. So maybe I will take it that way. A revelation of self and accountability. I love that accountability here because maybe that's what I was looking for as well. It's realizing that you're accountable and responsible for how you affect and impact others. And that's why sometimes it's better to just remain silent. Things that must remain in the dark, they remain for good reason. Oh my gosh, this is the 77. Here's the Scholar of Souls, there's the Sage of Souls. And I thought that was the 77. I'm pretty sure that's the 77. I need to look at the gray one. I'm pretty sure number 2 just went from the Scholar of Souls to the whole freaking Sage. But there's not a teacher here. And the teacher is the one who's good with people. And so, again, it's like, be mindful of any kind of sort of ego that would have you think that it is your job or duty or role to educate others, when in reality, it's their job to educate you. And it's your job to find out or to discover where your truth fits and how it resonates now. Yeah, this is 77. So this is the Sage of Souls, the Moon, Taurus again with the element of air, but this time with, like the last one, with the root and the third eye. And then over here, who is that? This is the gold 5. So this one is the 2 of souls. The 2 of souls, the Hierophant, Capricorn, the element of fire, the solar plexus, and the crown. So again, here's that, like, you go from the Scholar of Souls to the Sage of Souls, now to the 2 of Souls. Where it's like, oof, time to relearn some things. Because again, it's like the world has changed. The cosmos have evolved. Spirits evolved. Everything's changed. And maybe you've been away for quite a while. Maybe it was true at some point in time under certain conditions and circumstances, but it's less true now, or where you're going is going to be less true. You're going to maybe realize how relative and circumstantial and conditional those truths were. And maybe this is actually an invitation to almost be born again. There is a lot of excitement and self-discovery here, though. But while there is a lot of excitement and self-discovery, and maybe it's exciting to be you, maybe your truth is one that is just like next level, whatever. But there is a lot of responsibility, and there are things that aren't necessarily meant to be shared or seen. So it's almost like, because I guess depending on what your truth is, if your truth comes with a weight, that doesn't need to continue to exist, and that doesn't need to continue to persist, and that need not propagate into the future, then that weight is a burden that you hold. And it is the wise elder who can speak on their experiences and the wisdom and knowledge gained from that, but not burden and curse the young and the children to tread paths that they've already sort of beaten. It's their burden to allow those yet to come their own tomorrows and futures. But there are others to carry that with you, just not the young. It's not their job. It's not their time. And they're not. Why? Your time is come and gone. Enjoy new ones. It's like you can retire almost. And then we have the seven of spades. So spades, 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 and then an upside down spade, which is a heart. Taking the plunge into an ice cold tank, dissolution of the self, integration and separation. It's funny because here's the revelation of self, but here's the dissolution of that self. So again, it is this energy. It's almost like within yourself realizing which truths are just sort of like outdated. And instead of being one of those who's like, oh, back in my day when I was young, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, but you're not anymore. And the world has changed. So get with the times. It's like get with the times or get left behind. Or be left behind. And no one's obligated to stay still, stuck, or stagnant in the past with you for any reason. I feel like this one might be, could get a little stubborn. And I think this is the gray 7. I think the gray 7 may actually be the ace of essences. Let's see. Gray 7. Yeah, gray 7 is the ace of essences. So we've moved into like all of this is like the soul, the soul, the soul. The soul is who you are. The soul is your capital T truth. But the essence is how your soul I feel like I explained it in such a good way last time. It's like the essence is how you show up in the world. And it's about showing up in the world in a new way. Even though, especially here, your soul is already sort of well defined. But I did say like maybe it's to find how it's relevant now or where it's needed now and to be of use where you are of need. Maybe in a past life you were some king or queen or pharaoh or a super important person, and in this lifetime you're just not. In this lifetime you're ordinary. And some of the most ordinary are exceedingly extraordinary. It is that person that we sort of just come across one day that says something so incredibly profound or that has those impacts that inspire others to go on to greater. Or that keep people here long enough for them to find and discover what is for them. And that's also important. Not to say that, again, it's not to say that your truth isn't valuable. But it's just like Were you the ones that I said it's like it's time to retire? I think it was. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've only done two, and I'm pretty sure I didn't say it in the first one because the first one was like, "You still got to keep going. You got some more." I feel like this is like the antithesis to that one, even though that one wasn't like new, right? That one had some things under its belt, but there were just more for it to discover. This one, it's not for you to necessarily forget or change your truth. It's just to learn to embody it in a new way, in a way that allows the world to move forward and that doesn't keep the world stasis locked to whenever you were relevant. And I feel like there is real pride. And maybe that's something else too. It's like offering the fruit of your wisdom to those who are just sort of getting their bearings, understanding that your wisdom is merely knowledge to them, understanding that your wisdom is not meant to be theirs, it's meant to be knowledge. I don't want to say like you're a relic from a time gone by, but I don't know. I feel like there's a real pride that you would have in how things move forward if you could understand how relative your truth has become. I don't know. This is one of those ones where I'm like, it's not weird. I don't actually feel much doubt in it, but I guess interesting. And it's almost like again with that retirement energy. It's like now you don't have to be the one exerting all of this effort. You don't have to. It's almost like it's time for the torch to be passed along, but you may not necessarily want to, or there's a part of you that fights that. But it's almost like if you could let go, things would really take off. It's because we continue to try to do things your way that things are as slow as they were. It's in like at work, somebody was like, here, like some of the things are still stuck in the 1980s. Where I was, everything was stuck in the 1980s. So it's better here, but it could still be better yet still. And again, it's just some things are not ours to do. Some burdens are not ours to bear. And when we take on those things, we burden ourselves. Sometimes in ways we're not even necessarily asked to. But by no means, like, again, it's sort of in that giving your knowledge to those who would seek it, but not giving them your burdens or your what's the word, biases, I guess, because how things worked out for you or didn't work. I think you know what I'm trying to say. Like, share by all means, but don't assume that it's going to sort of work out and play out the same way. And don't give others that assumption either, or don't try to force it on them in those ways. Because they just may be capable of things that you weren't, and it wasn't for you to be capable of. So, that was an interesting one. Okay. Oh, look at that. Page of Cups. Page of Cups with the Ace of Essences. And I don't know, maybe it's been a long time since you've been like happy or carefree, or you've allowed yourself new experiences, evolved, elevated. truths, the ability to be wrong. I don't know. I don't know. Eight of Wands with the Page of Cups at the bottom of it, or at the cut, at the split. Ooh. Okay. And then I'm going to show you your lantern in a second. Just let me shuffle this for a minute, please. Was that a precursor to the next? I don't know. We'll see if it comes out. So, if you chose lantern number 2, I will show you your lantern relative to everything else. So, this is so interesting. This is interesting. So, here was your lantern, right? Hold up, wait, let me open this so I can see what you see. Here was your lantern. So, there you are. Oops. Oh, goodness. There you are. JK, you're not even the big one. You're the small one next to it. 2012. 2012, 2012. This one is 2498. This is the one in the future. You do sort of like set the standard, you build the foundation, you're a part of what was necessary at the time, but it's something that's built to grow. It's something that's meant to expand, it's something that's meant to get bigger. What is this? Bergamot, right next to the bergamot. I don't know, maybe bergamot is something for you. I don't know anything about essential oils or anything. 2012 is also interesting because that's when that cycle of the Mayan calendar ended, right? And people were like, oh my gosh, the world's going to end in 2012 or whatever. And yeah, so that's kind of sort of confirmation that, maybe your time is over. But it's a new time. It's a new day. It's a new season. It's a new cycle that has the capability to be far greater and grander, more beautiful, and more just great overall. So, let's see. I'm going to say that this starts at roughly 113.47. Oh my gosh. Raya! Raya! Hey girl, what's up? What's up? Hey Twitty. Hey Holly. Okay, I'm going back now. Okay. So, number 3, numero tres, I guess. Let me look at your lantern real quick. Oof, that's so funny. They really put you on the 2012. So number 3, your lantern is interesting because yours is the only one with a candle inside of it, but it ain't lit. So, I mean, there's that. I mean, I guess it is, but it's not. Also, it's like it's this wavy candle. I feel like there's something about your candle or your lantern. There's something about your lantern that almost feels hermetically sealed. And we're talking about the hermit. But it's almost this like it doesn't, it's not open to atmospheric flow. It's not open to Engaging. King of Hearts. A decision that once made cannot be rescinded. This is one of the few cards with all single-digit numbers, too. A decision that once made cannot be rescinded. A wise king who settles an impossible dispute and operating in divine order. With this 6 of diamonds, a single blade cuts through the tempest, calming the winds. A dislodged hunk of cheese. 51, 14, 11, 5, 1, 3. Taking the plunge into an ice-cold tank, dissolution of the self-integration and separation. Come off it. Come off it! What's up with 2 and 3? Like, just like know-it-alls. I'm just playing. I've been through it all. I've been seeing everything. Okay, well, you've been through what you've been through. Fair. You've been through a lot. Fair. You've seen a lot. Fair. But the y'all that you've been through may have been the y'all when you were, whatever, but there's more now. We didn't just stop. The world kept spinning. Things kept happening and changing and evolving. They say that there's nothing new under the sun, but there are new things all the time. The Outlaw and the Dynasty. I want to get one more down here. Oh, gosh. Oh, my goodness. I said one more. I'll take them, though. The Initiate. Okay. This is a lot, but the Corruptor and the Tower. Again, with Shiva's axe that removes corruption. It's still in reverse because I forgot to put it up right. So I'll do that now. The Rogue, the Politic, the Golden Shield, the Chariot, the Dark Horse, the Captor. Lots of 7s. 7 of Swords, 7 of Scepters, the Chariot, which is a 7. The Chariot of Osiris. I don't think I've ever read that that's Osiris's chariot. The Outlaw, the Captor, and the Tower in reverse. You know what this feels like? This feels like someone who experiences darkness or shadow. I like shadow. This feels like someone who experiences shadow for a long time, to the point where all they know is shadow, to the point where shadow becomes their truth. It's not necessarily like a legacy of evil and wrongdoing, but it's not necessarily great either. A decision that once made cannot be rescinded. A decision that once made cannot be rescinded. It speaks to things that carry heavy karmic loads. And they carry heavy karmic loads because of how it influences, affects, or impacts others. And it seems like there was some selfishness, some at any cost type of energy here. But with the dissolution of the self, the dislodged hunk of cheese, and the Initiate at the bottom of this deck, there is an opportunity to let all of that go. And like I said, it's interesting that yours was the only one with the candle, but it wasn't lit, and it was also hermetically sealed. So even if you did light it, the flame would suffocate. It feels like one that feels trapped. I don't know if it's ancestral. I don't know if it's a lineage, because again, the dynasty is here, the corruptor is here. The eminence will be your one up here. It's the energy where it's like, well, it worked. It worked in a period of time where it was sort of acceptable, where it was just like it's what people did. And honestly, this may be one where it's like it's for someone to forgive themselves. It's for someone to realize it's like if that's all that was instilled in you, I feel like this is more so. I don't know how many lifetimes you've lived out something similar, or if it's just this one. But it's just like it's understanding the truth of the situation and circumstances of your birth, life, conditioning, whatever. It's almost like there wasn't anyone or anything to model any better. And so you just do what you like, you do what everyone else does. And you never really think twice about it. And it feels like whatever this decision was, maybe you're going to come to yourself before you do the unthinkable, before you, at the very least, consider yourself irredeemable. I don't know about the universe. I mean, things take time. Who knows? But it's just like, it's just like if you didn't have anything else, then there was nothing else. It's not to be like, we're always responsible for what we do, of course. But I feel like, too, it's like there's some lenience that needs to be held within the self, because it feels like this can turn towards self punishment after you sort of like realize what it is that you've been doing, or you realize what it is that has been done around you, or maybe even to you, that set you potentially on a path to do it to others. And that level of judgment, while we do have laws, it doesn't necessarily lie with mankind. It does, however, feel like there's new that is going to be offered to you, or that is being offered to you, but it's all the way over here. It doesn't necessarily show up here. And we tend to it here and here. And maybe even here. But with us ending at the Hanged Man and the Eight of Swords and the Tower in reverse that was originally in reverse. Because here's the power to remove corruption. But it's almost like we have to believe ourselves worthy of it, or we don't allow ourselves to be absolved. So I would almost say that yours is a truth that you don't even fully know. Or yours, you may think your truth one thing because of what you've done or where you've been, but that's not your truth. It's the truth of the circumstances and situations that you found yourself in. And honestly, I'm just like, ooh, I don't want to know. I don't want to know what you did. I don't know. I don't want to know what your daddy did or your mama did, and they daddies and mamas did, and cousins and grandmas and aunties, and the whole ring of crooks. It's just like, ooh, girl, don't come to me. I don't need to know, because I'm human. I try not to be judgmental, but something like this it may be beyond my capacity. Get good and then talk to me. Get good and then be like, I used to be like this. I used to think this. I used to, da 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 whatever, because that's all I knew. It's all I had. But now I'm different. It's like, oh, cool work. Like it's so mind blowing to me when people who haven't had modeled to them that which they wish to desire or experience, and they go and they find it or create it in their own lives anyway. I'm just like, wow, blows my mind. Like I could almost tear up at the thought of it. But I have a limited capacity for a lot of things. And I just have to be upfront and honest about that in a lot of ways. So while I wish I could do, and well, I wouldn't even say I wish I could do and be more for everybody, because again, I just know where my capacity is. Unfortunately, or fortunately, it's just not for me, for everybody to be so available. Um, so I just had to, I felt like that was necessary, because even in me, you may not necessarily find what it is that you need to allow yourself that sort of absolution and redemption. And sometimes redemption isn't necessarily something that we need to do, but it's something that we personally do because what we feel that it's like what we feel needs to be owed or rectified or whatever. But so too, like the jaguar or the jaguar or the jaguar, your experience, your knowledge of those things with this dark horse energy, it's almost like it gives you a position, a foothold into spaces that otherwise are just impossible to really delve or explore, especially if things were particularly not great. And you may be the first in your experience, you may connect to people who've been through similar but who've broken out of it and created new for themselves. You may become someone whose purpose it is to help others also escape those situations. And maybe even when you get out of it, you still feel it so viscerally, or you hold that. It's because it's for you to be able to relate to people who are there. Because sometimes when we get out of a situation, we forget what it was like to be in it. And it's almost like because we've forgotten, while it does give us some kind of credentials, I guess, depending on the distance between us and that experience, it's like it may be harder to relate to it from the position and standpoint of being in it, rather than like you relating to it as some great challenge or some great something that you've overcome, but now you're so in everything else that it seems like a past life, it seems like a distant memory, it's something that you barely, like, you may not even necessarily remember. And so while you can still be an inspiration to those who are going through it and who seek to not be anymore, it may impact your ability to sort of be there with them while they're still in it, if that makes any sense. And again, it's not good or bad, it just sort of is what it is. I don't think it's necessarily for us to intentionally keep ourselves bound in places either. But if you so happen to find yourself there and you get fulfillment out of sort of helping those who come behind you or helping those who wish to be helped, maybe that is for you to do. And I personally love thanking people who have had experiences that I've never had. Experiences that I would never wish for, nor would anyone else. And who get through it and who can speak to it and who can help and assist those others, because again, it's like it's a whole set of experiences that I have absolutely no clue about, that I can't speak to in any real substantial way. But it's almost like escaping it and breaking it itself provides that opportunity or means for that opportunity. Because it's almost like when one chain is broken somewhere, as it falls to the earth and hits the ground, it ripples everywhere within that. And there are some who would hear that chain hit the ground. Like if there's a tree that falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, then does it make a sound? Yes. Because it echoes and ripples throughout all. And there will be someone who one day they just like, you know what, today's the day. I'm just gonna not. I don't know why today. Or maybe you come across somebody and they're in that position and you help them. So don't curse it. And don't view yourself as cursed. Because there are great things that can be done. Some of them only by someone who has been through this. But also at the same time, you don't have to sacrifice all that is for you. It becomes a part of your truth, not the entirety of it. I feel like the star was here somewhere, right? Or was the star in the last one? I think the star was in the last one. Wow, okay. So that ended not as rough as it started, where I was like, ah. And it's almost like these things were never meant to be your always. And so it's not even like your ascent or your liberation isn't accounted for. Because with the Seven of Swords and the Three of Wands, it's like this was known. But also, this is known. There are things that are already for you. I mean, is it known or is it hoped for? Also, the Three of Wands plus the Seven of Wands is the Ten of Wands. I guess I'm just throwing that out there. So you have the 10 and the 9 of Pentacles, the 7 and the 8 of Swords, the 3 and the 7 of Wands, the 3, the 7, and the Queen of Wands, and the 7 of Cups. Every element is represented here. 15 swords, which is the Devil of Swords. 19 Pentacles, which is the Son of Pentacles. And then 11 Wands, if you include the one from the Queen, which is the Justice of Wands. And then the Chariot of Water. The Chariot of Water, again, it's like those experiences, those feelings, not intended to be your always. But the Devil of Swords, It's like these tricks of the mind that would keep us there, or that would make us think or believe that there isn't more for us. The Son of Pentacles is the brightness of the physical, actual, real life experience. And not only the brightness of it, but the contrast to everything that you've already experienced. And then the Justice of Wands. It's almost like it's this energy where it's like you won't have to do what it is that you used to have to do to get what it is that you desire. You won't have to do what it is that you've been conditioned to do to fulfill your desires and your needs forever. If you have to at a certain point in time while you build yourself up or whatever, or while you are who you are or were who you were, it's like it's okay, right? It's a part of your story. It becomes a part of your truth, but it doesn't have to be all of it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the expansion of truth is something that we have to allow. And a lot of times we view truth as absolute. And because of that, much like the flame of your candle, we suffocate it. And because of that, our truths can stagnate while the rest of the world, the universe, continues moving forward. Then you kind of sort of end up like the second one. No shade! And maybe you've been experiencing this for a long time. Again, it's like, but it doesn't have to be your always. And you can use it to do so much good. I just hope that if you do that, you allow yourself at some point to experience the goodness that will find you. And that you don't punish yourself forever for things that, while you did have choices, while you did control, it's like you didn't know any better. It's just the truth of, again, your conditioning and your surroundings. It's relative. It doesn't have to be absolute. Whew! Goodness, what was that? I guess we're getting them all over the board today. I'm going to try to find your lantern. There's like this really cute black lantern right next to you. Russ, why didn't you pick that one? Is it because there's a tag on it? I'm kidding. Here you are. So in your row, like, you're golden. I feel like what I love about your placement is that to your left, you have the dark one. To your right, you have a light one. And you're the gold in the middle. Right? And your price is actually down here. I mean, maybe your price is one that's fluid. Because we have the 1488. That's probably you. Because this does not. Boop. And then this 1692 might be this one. But again, I love it. Because like you're already more towards the 1692. Rather than the 1488. It feels like you are. It's almost like if you're feeling what you're feeling and desiring what you're desiring, you're already freer than you may think yourself. And that is your truth. Or the other part of your truth. You know what I mean? We're the ones who determine if it's a footnote, a chapter, an entire book, or a series of books. So, oof. So I'll say 140, 30. Well, I'll wait until I see myself putting these cards away, I guess, and then I'll say the timestamp. One 40 for number 4. Oof, why do I feel like number 4 is about to hit me like a semi truck, like a ton of bricks? I'm like, okay, this ain't too bad. This ain't too bad. And I feel like number 4 is just gonna be like, what? What the freak is this? I don't understand. Number 4, your truth is yours to understand, and it's not mine to try to find out. Woo! Okay. Oh! We'll see. Oh, snap. Did I not say the timestamp for the third one? Now that you mention it, I don't think I did. I don't think I said LOLOL. He sent me the reminder too. Oof. All right. Wow. I read that. Rest with the reverse psychology. I guess it's not really reverse psychology. I don't know. Oh, this Page of Swords. This Page of Swords with the letter from the owl. Congratulations, you just been accepted to Hogwarts. You're a wizard. That's your truth. Your truth is you're a wizard. Okay? Thank you all for being here. I hope you have a good whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I'm going to save myself the headache and not even attempt number 4. You're going to get a super special message. We're going to look at that after everything. Oops. Okay. So you get the 3 of Spades. A complete restructuring of home, a breathtaking sight that redefines beauty, and allowing one's soul to breathe. And it's almost because of allowing one's soul to breathe that it feels you may be at the precipice. A shift in the wind, a leaf caught in an eddy, the birth of a new language. The birth of a new language with this Page of Swords. With the owl carrying the letter. Okay. See, with the Destroyer 10 of Swords, but this whole new Ace of Pentacles. What is your Hermit inner light? With the Keeper? The Keeper! The keeper is the awakened fool. The keeper is the one who's gone through the major arcana and who's taken at every step what it is for them to take, to the point where now they interact with the world in a completely new way. I want to take it, but I'm not. It's already shuffled. It'll come out if it's meant to. I almost want to do something special for you, number 4. And I will. Oh, darn it. This is the last spread that I built. Let's see. Excuse me. What's this? I'm gonna try this, I guess. So I'm gonna, as this is now, Wheel of Fortune at the bottom. The Wheel of Life, actually. So this goes here. I'm going to pull before and after the Initiate, the Seeker, and the Keeper. And we'll see if this was the right choice to make for you. The Demiurge next to the Star and the Demiurge. The Healer and the Demiurge next to the Keeper. The Demiurge is, I guess, one with the ability to more directly influence and shape reality. And you have that paired with the healer, which is gorgeous, because if anyone's going to be a demiurge, I guess I'd want it to be a healer and not somebody who's, like, interested in self and, you know, all that weird stuff that people already are. It's like, okay, we don't need... Anyway. I also love that the Keeper is the first card of yours that I see. Oh, interesting. We have the Mason, 3 of Pentacles, 3 of Orbs, with the Initiate and the Seeker and the Magus. And I guess it's also doubly interesting because a complete restructuring of home is here. And it seems like it might be kind of intentional. Again, for anyone with the power to influence and create reality, I'm glad it's someone who is of the healing mind, who is also of a collaborative and cooperative spirit. Your truth lies in your mastery, it lies in your gifts, it lies in your abilities, it lies in your ability to contextualize everything. So it feels like what was for number 2 to learn, you already know. It feels like number 4, you may be all of the above. You've had ones. Well, this is like it's the space that 1 will ultimately reach. It's the space that 2 needs a different perspective to reach. It's the space that 3 could potentially be in, but it wouldn't be of any benefit to anyone outside of 3. And it's because of that now 3 is in the space or process of just learning of how to go about things in a different way. And it's like, you've had your 3 times, you've had your 2 times, and you've had your 1 time. And now you're at the space where you get to show up and you get to decide. And what you decide for yourself has the power to ripple outward. That's true for all of us, no matter what, no matter where. But for us to be conscious of that and cognizant of that, and for us to be more intent when we are in spaces of impact, or to be more aware of our impacts. Oh, I said you're a wizard, right? And the Magi is here. Or the Magus is here. But it's almost like it's something that will be granted to you. So it's almost like, don't for a second think that you are more than anybody else, or that you're more than who you are or what you are. Because this is given and it can be taken, and you wouldn't want it to be. A breathtaking sight that redefines beauty. This is interesting though, because while you may be in a position to guide others, it's like you yourself are still like being guided. But because of what you've gone through, and because of how you've integrated things at different parts, again, which was a lesson of one, right? To know how the many different aspects or pieces of themselves will be integrated into the whole of who they are. And while there's still things for them to do, like we were never necessarily done like growing, never finished. I also love that I go from a 4 to a 3, because it's me. But I go from a zero to a 1, so you know what I mean. Anyway, Aquarius is here. Air is here. More modernly, Uranus. Venus in Aries, Mars in Capricorn. So that's a Venus and Mars square. But it's Mars in the position where it's like Mars with a purpose. And it's the 3 of Pentacles, which is perfect. I feel like any aspect that Mars has with Saturn or Mars in Capricorn is glorious, because it gives Mars purpose. It allows Mars to be everything that Mars is without it being destructive or distracting. And Mars with a purpose gets appreciation, which Mars loves, because most of the time we see Mars, it's like, oh, you know what I mean? The time of war is over. But Mars has a new purpose. And when Saturn squared Mars, while Saturn was in Capricorn and Mars was in Aries, and I think it was before it went retrograde, or at some point while it was retrograde, when I think because at the same time Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn were still, maybe they were a little fresher out of that conjunction, but still within that space. It felt like Saturn was giving Mars a mission. Like everything else is going to begin moving forward. So there's something that you need to do. And it's almost like Mars is like bringing what is it? Bringing up the rear, or bringing in the rear, or something like that. And it's almost like it's that final impetus for us to finally make that decision to do something different, or to change, or to act, or whatever we need to solidify and establish the foundation that will, like, this is the basis for this. Like Aquarian energy, to me, it's like a skyscraper. And the foundation that we have right now is not good enough to support any of the Aquarian, whatever we're manifesting. It's not. It would crumble. And with Pluto still in Capricorn, with Uranus in Taurus, it's this energy where, like, the foundations are changing and shifting, the structures are changing and shifting, the systems are changing and shifting, and they're more susceptible to collective input than ever. But it's the way we use it, like anything else, that gives it its purpose and that determines the outcome. It's the intention. And there's so much going on, it's like it's almost hard. It could be more difficult for us to personally use Mars in a way that sets that foundation. But like Mars had this whole long talk with Saturn, and Mars spent a long time at home preparing for the journey that it would have. It was in Aries like almost like half the year last year, it seems. And there were things within Mars that, like, Mars needed to get together. Like, it retrograded in Aries and then it went direct, right? Things within Mars's own self that it had to do in order to take on this final mission, in order for it to begin to be what we're going to need Mars to be moving forward. And we're all Mars, right? There are things that we need to do within ourselves in order to allow us to show up in the world in the ways that we need to show up, to be a positive, contributing, harmonizing, forward moving factor in energy and accordance and harmony with all those others, and to be less destructive and be that self-destructive or to others, to gather up our strength and courage and do the things that we need to do to move forward, because it's those things that change the world. It isn't necessarily these like large, grand, whatever. And they do have impacts. They do shape the world around us, how we show up. And so this energy isn't anything that other people don't have access to. This energy isn't anything special. But there's something within this energy that activates it. And again, it feels like, because there is a conscious knowing of the power of our presence and impact, especially expressed through Martian ways and Venusian ways. And it feels like this square between them, it actually works out better than a trine, because Venus has to be conscious of what she brings and how she interacts, and Mars is conscious of what he brings and how he interacts, and they're both considerate of each other. And it feels like if it were a trine or a more harmonious force, it's almost like that point where you start to like take advantage of something, or you forget like the little things that you need to really show somebody that you care, or to continue to honor and respect and value something, right? It's almost like in their square, they don't have to lose each other to appreciate each other. And it might be because of them collaborating at all. Maybe momentous enough in itself. But squares can be very beautiful. And not all trines are gorgeous. You don't necessarily want every energy to have such easy access. Anyway, so let's see what this is. The external, the internal invited to the external. Inner secret revealed, cognition illuminated. The Jack of Clubs. Told you. Inner secret revealed, cognition illuminated. The internal invited to the external. And again, that's that energy that I was kind of talking about when it's like where Mars and where we have to do those things within ourselves before it can really sort of take hold outside of ourselves, and where it can take root and it can start to grow and flourish. And it does take looking in the mirror. It does take seeing ourselves in our totality. It does take seeing ourselves at our best, at our worst, in our lightest, in our darkest, and without shadow. Without the need to distort or veil or to make better or to make worse or to make not as bad. But to see ourselves in all of our truth. And to leverage those truths and work with those truths as we move forward, understanding that we're still going to face challenges and we can overcome them because we're always building the foundation and we're always working off of that foundation too. We do many things all the time at the same time. And while there are seasons and cycles, everything is in motion. Everything is a movement. So, fourth lantern. I will show you what yours look like in comparison to everything else. And you can thank Russell at Rustling Around for selecting these out of the many that were there. Oh, it's the little white one. I love it. You know what I love most about this lantern? It's like it's this big dark one and a bigger dark one and a maybe bigger or yeah, slightly bigger because look, there's like a two thing here. And there's like a third tier here almost, or maybe I'm just looking at it weird. And then you have this little itty bitty light one next to these big ones, you know. And the same is true of this one. I didn't even realize that it's next to these darker ones. Your price is $15.44. And it's funny because 15 is the devil, and according to Russology, 44 is the master number of the ancestral plane. Like I've heard them say that the fourth dimension is where the ancestors go. It's almost like the waiting space. So 44 is that space. And it's interesting because it feels like it can be in that space and not be bound by that space. And because it can be in that space and not be bound by that space, it's almost like it becomes the conduit of the hopes of our ancestors. It becomes the conduit of their dreams. It becomes the one that makes it reality, that experiences that ancestral wealth and abundance. But it's also one, if that is their path, it has to be one that is also comfortable with carrying everything that they have and had. And it's not that we necessarily have to, but if there is any aversion to it, if we sacrifice any of it, if we give it away, if we desire that it never happened, then it's like, well, although not great, like going back to the third one, although it may not have been great, it's almost like what it does is it gives the rectification of it more. It's like it increases the store of your coffers in some way. I don't know. That's what it feels like. Because how can you carry on or shoulder the burden of another's hopes and dreams if you're not willing to take on their fears, worries, anxieties, shortcomings, all of that? We can't have one without the other. And this is one that understands that. And it's because they understand that, again, that they're able to move that wheel of life. Where did the wheel of life go? It was at the bottom. It's because of that that they're able to move that wheel of life, but I guess they show up as a contender, where they can hold that flame steady regardless of what comes in or what angle it tries to approach. And it's, again, it's like, I mean, while there are sort of fingers being pointed all around here, it feels like it's one that will take accountability. And that's what gives it its power. Because it's not looking for someone to blame. It's not passing the buck. It's not trying to take an easy way out because it rises. And it's almost like it's through this that all of that is cleared. That all is sort of set right. It's like in Holes when Stanley carries Hector up the mountain and he fulfills a promise that a great, 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 great ancestor of his made to a great, 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 great ancestor of Hector's. That neither one of them even knew about. So there is something about fulfillment and completing cycles. And it's like when you complete that cycle, its strength becomes yours. I don't know. I don't know. So, number 4, what your truth is. I can't describe it. I don't have a word for it. It's like there are so many words or feelings or thoughts. It's just it's gorgeous. And I love that the healer is here. And I think maybe that is the tear that the healer cries. Because it's a knowing and understanding that, again, you can't take part of it. And I think a lot of times we do. We try to take it in part. So that's what I got. Wassail, everybody. Again, shout out to Russ for the thumbnail and for the prodding and for selecting the lanterns, because I was like, there's so many. How am I supposed to pick one? How am I supposed to choose out of all these lanterns? I don't want one of them to feel bad. I saw Toy Story 3 and it effed me up. Because I was like, wow, if I take like one, I'm going to put myself out there. I got a little stuffed Tigger that my godmother gave me when I was 2 years old, and when I went to school, I took Tigger with me. But after Toy Story 3, I was like, well, if I take Tigger, then like my little other stuffed animals might be jealous, even though they stay in the closet. Tigger is the only one that I like to keep out. and around. I don't know where Tigger is right now, honestly. Sometimes Tigger just like disappears and then he'll reappear. But anyway. Yeah, I hope you all have a gorgeous whatever, whenever again. And I already said it all. Take it as it resonates, right? It's not my job to tell you who you are, but it is my desire to help you get to know you, or to at least provide you with a place to start on that journey, or a different perspective, or whatever, right? This ain't personal, it's general. I don't know. I'll catch you all later. Bye. I feel like in true Russ fashion, I should sing you out. I should sound heal you away. But I ain't gonna do that because I'm nervous. Even though when I watch, I like to resonate with him. And sometimes like I'll hit that note, and like there'll be this like harmony, and I'll hear it. I'm like, ooh! I would never do it live though. I may never even do it. Well, I'll take that back because I feel like I have done it a little bit at some point. But I wouldn't put myself on the spot like that. But knowing Russell, he would. I appreciate the challenge and all the ways that all of you challenged me to be more, and to step into me, and to delve and dive and to explore. Because Lord knows, me in my comfort zone, I would never do it. I barely wanted to do this.